What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G 2024. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G 2024. Now I'm especially excited about this device because, especially coming from the previous generation, we're getting a lot of new and improved features, and this phone is pretty much better in every single way. Now hence the name of this device. This phone is the successor to last year's Moto G Stylus 5G 2023, and I will be doing a dedicated comparison video of this phone versus that phone in a separate video, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now, one of the best things about the Moto G Stylus 5G 2024 is that there's a lot of different places where you can buy it. For example, you can buy this phone factory unlocked directly from Motorola. You can also buy it factory unlocked from other retailers as well. And in addition to that, this phone is also being offered at a lot of different carrier stores. For example, at Metro by T-Mobile, you can actually get this phone for free if you port in from another carrier. And if you are just opening a new line, you can even get the phone right now for just $29.99. So as you can see, going the carrier route does allow you to save a lot of money. Now, there are actually two versions of this device. There is the kind of prepaid version, which is this device, which has 128 gigabytes of storage. And then the factory unlocked model of the phone does have double that at 256. Now keep in mind though, the full MSRP for this device is $399, which in itself is actually pretty affordable. But again, if you do decide to get this phone through a carrier, you will be paying a fraction of that, or maybe even getting it for free. But before I get too far into things here with the Moto G Stylus 5G 2024, let's see what all comes included in the box. So here is the box. You can see right there the name of the device. Now this box is actually pretty skinny, and the reason for that is because there is actually no USB wall adapter included. But in the box we have some literature here, and then we also have a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. Now this phone is compatible with up to 30-watt fast charging. However, to actually get that full fast charging speed, you are going to have to pair up this cable, or a similar cable to it, to a 30-watt charging adapter. If you use like an older 10-watt or 15-watt adapter, then you are going to be limited at those speeds. And since this phone does have such a large battery at 5,000 milliamp hours, which is great by the way, you are going to want to actually recharge it at that maximum speed, just so you don't have to wait around all day for the phone to recharge. Now with the Moto G Stylus 5G 2024, we're getting a very large 6.7-inch display. And from my first impressions, this display is really excellent looking. Not only is it really large here, so we're getting a very big canvas, but in addition to that, it is featuring POLED technology, and we are getting a 120Hz refresh rate. So a really smooth and fast refresh rate here with the device. And again, with it being POLED, it's super vibrant, super bright. We're getting very rich colors here, and also really good viewing angles too when looking at the display. So overall, I think Motorola made a great choice going for this particular display technology, as it really does make this phone look even more premium than it even is. And then with that faster refresh rate, that's another premium touch, certainly something I like to see on smartphones. So Motorola again made a great job here when kind of designing things with the display. Now in addition to that, the display is 1080p, so very crisp and clear here. We are getting a PPI of 395. And then we are getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a narrow but tall form factor here with the device. And then finally, you probably noticed as well, we are getting very small bezels here around the phone. Now the top and bottom bezels are slightly thicker, but overall, not too much different. But we are getting an 88.2% screen to body ratio, which really is fantastic. Now up top here, there is a hole punch for the front-facing camera, and that front camera is 16 megapixels. Now stay tuned for my full review video of this device, as I will be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here on the phone. But so far, I am pretty confident that we are going to be getting at least pretty decent photo and video quality from this device. So as I mentioned before, this device is offered in two different storage configurations, either 256 or 128. Now honestly, either storage configuration is actually pretty impressive, especially for a mid-range device. I do feel like at this point in 2024, I do generally recommend that people go for 256, just so you kind of future-proof yourself, but at the same time, I know many people can get by with just 128. Now, thankfully though, this phone is compatible with microSD card expansion, so if you do want to offload photos and videos, for example, to free up some of the internal space on your device, then at least you do have that option. And you might have noticed already, but microSD card expansion is a feature that we're seeing less and less with smartphones, and especially for mid-rangers like this one. Another nice surprise with the Moto G Stylus 5G 2024 is that this phone does have wireless charging. So if you do put the phone on a wireless charger, it will immediately begin recharging. And then another nice bonus too is that it is compatible with up to 15-watt wireless charging, which is actually relatively fast. Now with this device, not only are we getting face unlock, which is a nice feature, but we're also getting an in-display fingerprint sensor. So we'll give that a try right now. And you can see it's very fast and responsive. Let's try that one more time. So that works great, and I'm definitely a big fan of that implementation here. Now with this device, we are getting a dual camera setup here. So we're getting a 50 megapixel main camera and a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. And then also the ultra wide camera provides an additional feature called macro vision, essentially combining both a macro camera here with the ultra wide. So here's how things look on the camera app on the device. Now I will be making a full camera tips and tricks video a little bit later on, so stay tuned for that. But despite this phone actually being a mid-ranger, we are getting a lot of different camera features here within the camera app itself. So the first thing here is the main 50 megapixel camera. Now keep in mind though that by default, it doesn't actually capture photos at the full 50 megapixels, just because most people don't need that, and it does take up a lot of additional space on your device. But if you do want to capture photos in 50 megapixels, go down to the More tab here, then from there go to 50 Ultra Res, and then from there you can capture your image. And then now we'll pull that up and you can see there is so much detail here. Actually just finished processing, so even more detail. So you can really zoom up and get close here. And in general, it is a very nice camera with a lot of different features there. So we'll get out of this. And then now from there, we can go back to the standard photo mode. We can also go over to 0.5 here for the ultra wide angle camera. So you can fit a lot more content into a single frame. And then from there, we can tap on this flower to go to the macro vision mode. So again, macro vision actually uses the other cameras on the device. It doesn't actually have a dedicated macro camera. And you can certainly tell that it's not as good as actually having a macro camera. But honestly, I don't think too many people were concerned about having a dedicated macro camera with this device anyway. So it's really not that big of a deal. Now then from there, we can go over to portrait mode to get those nice blurred out backgrounds. You can even adjust the level of blur if you want to. Then flipping around to the front-facing camera, there's me right there. So we can get these nice portrait backgrounds, even in selfie mode. Also, we can go here for a group selfie, so it crops out slightly. And then if you want to, you can also take standard selfies. And then heading over to video mode, we are getting up to 4K video for the front-facing camera. And then also for the rear camera, we're getting up to 4K video as well. So again, I appreciate that even though the Moto G Stylus 5G 2024 is meant to be a mid-range device, we're still getting a lot of camera features here, making it very comparable to a flagship smartphone. Now internally here with the device, we're getting 8GB of RAM paired up with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor. Now overall, my experience so far has been very positive. The phone is very fast to set up, and in general, it just feels very snappy and quick. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, and here are the scores that I got from that test. So I got a single core score of 924 and a multi-core score of 2794. So what I recommend doing is run this test on your current phone and then compare your results to these to see how your current phone compares. But again, overall, I've been very happy with the performance here of the device. I feel like Motorola especially did a great job optimizing the software for maximum performance. And in general, I think they made a great choice as far as the amount of RAM we're getting, the processor, and then of course then the way that they actually tailored the software to fit that hardware. And then as I mentioned earlier in the video, this phone does have a very large 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery with recharging capabilities at up to 30 watts. This phone also features NFC, so if you do like to use your phone for tap and pay, then you can certainly do that here with this device using services such as Google Pay. We're also getting stereo speakers as well, so not only are we getting audio out of the main speaker on the bottom, but also the earpiece as well. That is a pretty decent premium feature to have. And then finally, this material on the back of the phone is actually called vegan leather. So it's not real leather, of course, but at the same time, it feels a lot more higher end than any sort of plastic I've ever seen on the back of a smartphone. If anything, it almost feels like kind of a rubbery finish on the back, but in general, I think this is the best of both worlds. I really like how it's a matte finish, and in addition to that, it doesn't really pick up any fingerprints or anything. This phone just doesn't even look like I've been holding it, even though I have. The back on this phone just looks very clean all the time, which I really appreciate. Now the main attraction here with the G Stylus 5G 2024 definitely has to be the stylus, which you can easily pop out and then pop back in. But when you take the stylus out of the phone, You immediately get some suggestions here, such as writing notes, creating GIFs or GIFs, lots of different options here. And of course, if you want to, you can use the Stylus with any third-party app from the Play Store, assuming it's compatible. And then you can use the Stylus just for general navigation around the device. So in general, this is a great feature to have. And one of my favorite things too about the Stylus is that even though it is here in the device, it's not like it's making the phone thicker or even that the phone is more expensive just because of the Stylus. Honestly, if you just considered the regular specifications of this phone and put it up against other devices that don't have a Stylus, this phone is still very comparable and competitive. So really the Stylus is just a nice bonus. So even if you think you won't be using the Stylus that often, it's still good to have. And certainly in situations like signing documents, I can definitely see it being very helpful for that. But taking a look at the left side of the device, we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then on the right side, we have volume up, volume down on the power button. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, speaker, and then of course the Stylus. And then on the back of the device, we have the Motorola logo, flash, and then dual camera setup. But this concludes my hands-on and first impressions video of the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G 2024. Overall, I think there's a lot to be excited about with this smartphone, and I'm certainly looking forward to spending a lot more time with it prior to me making my full review. But if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. This is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.